Hey, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And let's keep sharing and letting the world know about the One Piece network. Let's begin. When they cannot control your land, they will try to control your language. That is an African proverb that has been said since forever, okay? But family, look around. We live in an age where the old empires no longer march with flags. They scroll with hashtags. They've traded bullets for broadcasts and bayonets for bandwidth. And when their soldiers fail, they send storytellers. So hear this carefully. France has just launched a new Pan-African digital channel called ZOA, ZOA or ZOA, a name which means alive. But behind that smile sits a dying empire, desperate to breathe through Africa's lungs. They lost their soldiers, they've lost their bases. Now they're sending influencers. They tell us that ZOA is by young Africans, but when foreign interests lose their guns, they reach for the microphones. Because whoever controls your story controls your destiny. Let me repeat that. Because whoever controls your story controls your destiny. This isn't creativity, it's strategy. A new front and an old war, right? A psychological reconquest dressed in digital colors. France has been narrating Africa's story since the first colonial radio towers rose over Dakar and Bamako. In the 1940s, they called it Radio Afrique Française, the voice of civilization. It played jazz between propaganda bulletins, whispering that freedom was chaos and obedience was peace. Then came the RFI, Radio France International, the soft voice of a hard empire. Then France 24, fluent, fashionable, global, yet always carrying the same message. Paris knows best. And now comes ZOA, their digital daughter. You know, short videos, slang, Afro beats behind, the music bed. But the funding and the framing remains the same. They call it independence, right? They call it independence. But how can independence live on a state payroll? Freedom cannot be sponsored by the very hands that once chained it. Behind ZOA stands France Monde. France Médias Monde. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. A public corporation under the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Its official mission, right, is basically to extend France's presence and influence in the world. That is diplomacy disguised as journalism. France 24, RFI, Monde Carlo Doualier, all under the same umbrella, right? All public funded, all state directed. And I actually want everybody to understand that ZOA isn't African expression. It's strategic communication crafted in Paris, broadcast to African hearts. When a government's power fades on the battlefield, it resurrects itself in the newsroom. When it loses control of territory, it seeks control of narrative. Behind that colorful logo lurks another player, the DGSE, France's foreign intelligence agency, their version of the CIA. These are not movie villains. They are the men who move in silence when diplomacy fails. In Mali, 2 DGSE-linked agents were arrested in Bamako. Arrested for what? Well, they were accused of coordinating sabotage against the transitional government of Colonel Assimi Goïta. In Burkina Faso, operatives connected to Captain Ibrahim Traore's attempted ouster in August of 2023 were detained before they could ignite chaos. Both coup attempts failed, okay? And when the soldiers failed, the storytellers were deployed. They were the next man up. And that is where ZOA enters, the smiling face after the failed bullet. The DGSE understands, right? The gun can no longer conquer the Sahel. I think they now understand that. Now the battlefield is in the mind. Now they fight with microphones, not mortars. Because if they can't overthrow your government, they will infiltrate your confidence. And if they can seize your uranium, guess what? They will steal your youth. They used to mine our gold. Now they mine our attention. They used to send tanks. Now they send TikToks. No, ZOA is the velvet glove over an imperial hand, a digital infiltration wrapped in cultural language. Every click, every share, every view, every fun fact about Africa posts become a line of data, a new map of African emotions and influence. Because if they can't steal the soil, they'll steal the soul. This isn't innovation, it's desperation. France's presence in the Sahel has crumbled. Bases expelled, cooperations exposed, ambassadors humiliated, contracts ripped apart by sovereign nations. So they pivot to Pixel, trying to regain through Wi-Fi what they lost through warfare. Across Africa, independent voices are rising. Youth journalists, podcasters, street reporters, unfiltered, unbought, unafraid. Every TikTok from Ouagadougou, every YouTube stream from Niamey, every podcast from Lusaka, it all chips away at the colonial echo chamber. And France knows this. So they built ZOA to imitate authenticity, representation without responsibility. You have a smiling host in Dakar, a script approved in Paris. We have a local accent carrying a foreign agenda. My people, that is not partnership, that is performance. They hand Africa a mirror already polished by Paris. When we look in, we don't see ourselves. We see approval. Representation without ownership is reflection, not liberation. You can't break chains with borrowed microphones. You can't speak truth on a teleprompter paid by foreign interests. They will tell our youth, speak the truth, but only if that truth never questions the hands funding the broadcast. A young reporter from West Africa told me, he said, they offered me double the pay to join ZOA, but they said, no talk of sovereignty. Focus on success stories, keep it positive. She looked down and said, at least they pay on time, but they never pay in truth. That is how recolonization sounds today. Friendly, funded, filtered, no whips, no chains, just contracts. No censorship, just conditions. They don't silence you, they sponsor you. They don't ban the truth, they budget it. While ZOA streams optimism, French corporations run to international courts to keep uranium in Niger and gold in Burkina Faso. When they lose legal ground, they hunt emotional grounds. If they can't make the youth love them again, then the gates of exploitation reopens. Look, ZOA is not a gift. It's a gateway, a PR soldier in the age of algorithm. France isn't expanding, it's gasping. And a desperate empire is the most dangerous kind. Family, the revolution will not be televised, it will be uploaded. If a foreign state can build a pan-African channel to shape our minds, then Africans can build a continental media alliance to shape our destiny. Like, let's train our own journalists, fund our own satellites, tell our own truth. Raw, unapologetic, ours. Let every classroom teach media literacy. Let every young viewer learn visibility without ownership is another chain. Because whoever writes your headlines can rewrite your history. To every young African behind a camera, a mic, a phone, don't rent your voice to those who silence your fathers. Build the microphones that will feed your sons, your daughters, your grandkids. They failed with coups, they failed with spies, and now they try with smiles. Let's answer with truth owned by Africans. They've lost their soldiers, they've lost their bases. Now they send influencers. Let's send something stronger. This is your host, here to tell stories by us, for us, and never against us. I'll catch you guys in the next video.